Hi everybody. Thanks for coming back to our channel.
Thanks
Today
for tuning in.
We're going to talk about the Ascension process and how it is different than the awakening process. So we did a video on the 5 phases of awakening, and so today we want to talk to you about specifically Ascension symptoms. So the difference is a spiritual awakening is a sudden realization of a new idea. So your old belief system gets crushed and you have this new idea, this new paradigm in which to build from. Ascension is the act of rising to an important position. Raising your consciousness to a new level, whereas awakening is becoming aware, suddenly aware of a new idea. So
yes.
There's kind of the difference on how to understand a spiritual awakening versus the actual ascension process.
Yes, so you have, if you think about it this way, you have an awakening, you awaken to a new idea, a new belief, and then that in turn sort of raises your vibration. And then because of that raise in vibration, your body, holistically, you respond to that. Your mind, body, and soul begins to respond to that raise in vibration. So you begin to experience a lot of different things. You begin to experience a lot of physical.
A lot of mostly physical symptoms, but emotional and mental, right? It takes a toll on kind of the whole body, because essentially what's happening is Mother Earth is ascending, and us as humans came down here in this incarnation to have a human experience, but while Mother Earth is ascending, we are ascending with her, or trying to, right? And so through the process of raising our vibration, ascending into a new paradigm, and ascending into a new earth, our bodies are also trying to upgrade, as well as download information from the galactic realms, celestial realms, and so forth. And so our bodies, being as dense as they are, undergo a lot of physical symptoms and ailments. As well as mentally, it can be challenging with anxiety, depression, and emotionally, lots of sadness and crying and kind of grief as we clear out the heart space. So there's a lot of symptoms that go with ascension, and that's what we want to talk about today.
And density is a good place to start, because to understand vibration, we are, as human beings, anything that you can touch it's vibrating, but it's vibrating at a very, very low frequency, and the frequency is low enough to where it becomes a solid to where you can touch it. And so our bodies are a very low vibrational frequency, just by design. And as we begin to awaken, that frequency begins to speed up a little bit, and we begin to vibrate a little bit faster. And that's why we begin to feel these things. Yeah.
So generally we start with a spiritual awakening, right? Excuse me. And then as we have the spiritual awakening, we realize that we've been operating from our lower 3 chakras for the majority of our life. So we have our root chakra, our sacral chakra, and our solar plexus, and those are our 3-dimensional chakras, if you will. Those are the ones that are worried about fight or flight. That's where we'll experience anxiety, depression, addictions, overeating, things of that nature. Sacral chakra, when we're in that lower vibrational space, we're dealing with a lot of sexual addiction or withdrawal from sexuality, a lack of creativity and expression to the world. Solar plexus, feeling disempowered and self-esteem issues, and or overly aggressive, overly assertive, and also unable to really tap into our intuition, which is housed in the solar plexus. So as we ascend, as we awaken, we realize that we need to ascend those lower 3 chakras up into the heart space, which is our gap, our bridge from the gap of the lower 3 to the higher 12, depending on where you are in your evolution. But just talking about just the 7 chakras, as we ascend from the bottom 3, we use our heart space as the bridge between the 2. So 4D, right? And then 5D and beyond is above our head. So you'll experience a lot of symptoms when you're undergoing this rise in consciousness and this ascension process. You undergo lower back pain and depression, anxiety, overeating or undereating, loss of appetite or an increased appetite.
And you can go back and forth between these different things too.
Absolutely. I will continue to revisit.
Yeah, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to this per se. However, it is really important to understand that everything that you experience, whether it be a little bit of stress and anxiety or an actual physical ailment that is diagnosable, all comes from the same place. It all and as we're beginning to raise in vibration, what do you call it? Courtney says it like warning signs.
Yeah, and I'm realizing that with just my recent activity with my heart. A lot of you have heard my story so far. Without going too far into it, I have developed a heart condition, but I actually was born with this heart condition. I'm just now realizing it. And I'm just now realizing it, I really believe, because I've been in very intensive shamanic initiation over the past year. And I've been going through an intense ascension probably for about 2 years, really. Our first spiritual awakening was about 6 years, something to that nature. So you can see how the process unfolds, and now it has manifested as my body is ascending, as I'm ascending into my true divine crystalline self. Physical ailments are showing up, and they're warning signs. So where you're feeling your symptoms the most predominantly is basically where you're storing most of your trauma. So as you ascend, you begin to realize that, say, you have really horrible stomach pain and it's ascension symptoms. And as you follow the breadcrumbs back to the truth of who you are, you realize that maybe you have been not stepping in your power, or that you have that your divine masculine is trying to come out, or that you lack self-esteem, good self-esteem, things of that nature. And so you follow these breadcrumbs back, and as these symptoms arise, depending on what's going on in the cosmos that brings it out, right? Full moons, new moons, solar flares, Schumann resonance, all these things help us to raise our consciousness up to where it needs to be, so that we're a match to Mother Earth. And when we're experiencing these symptoms, those are warning signs from our higher self telling us what still needs to be healed. So depending on where you're feeling it in your body, that's a good warning sign as to what still needs to be healed. And the more you dive into that and go down that rabbit hole, the more you will discover who you truly were, where you came from in a past life, and what karma you carried over here, why you're experiencing what you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because every physical symptom has sort of a beginning and an end, and it will begin with just a feeling. It'll begin with, sometimes it can begin with, stomach pain or something like that, little anxiety, depression, and eventually, if the issue is not addressed and dealt with, it will continue to evolve into something bigger. Until it becomes an actual sickness or an illness or a cancer or something, and that's just how it all works. It's all interconnected. We have this tendency to want to separate, sort of the medical from the spiritual. When in reality, they go hand in hand.
They work together.
They work perfectly together. Yeah. They really do. Mm-hmm. So it's important to understand that there's not we always encourage people to go and get their symptoms checked. Go to doctors if they have to, when they feel they need to. We always encourage people to do that, but also to have a really good understanding of how your body works and where this stuff really comes from. And don't ever rely solely on somebody else for your own care of your own body. Mm-hmm. It's so important to listen to what your body is saying. And if your body is saying to go to a doctor, go see a doctor. And if what a doctor says doesn't resonate 100% with you, that's okay. Yeah. More research needs to be done, or a second opinion needs to be had.
Yeah. So I'll give you a list of some of the ascension symptoms that we've dealt with mostly. Denny has dealt with them mostly on a physical or on a psychological, mental, emotional aspect, but I deal with it more physically. And while Denny does feel the physical symptoms and I feel the emotional symptoms, just one of us is feeling the other more predominantly. So from my standpoint, I'll just give you a list. I'll start from the top and go to the bottom. How's that sound? So headaches, primarily in the forehead, also on the sides of the head, kind of a throbbing, whooshing feeling kind of on the side. Really intense sometimes to where you think, oh my goodness, this is not going to go away. And if it doesn't go away, I'm going to need medical attention, right? Migraine or something worse. But then it slowly kind of goes away. Sometimes it will move in different areas of the head. You'll feel sort of trigger points, like a zapping feeling kind of on the side, and then one over here, and then one in the back, and then one in the front, and it'll kind of go away. Those are downloads and upgrades. It's a good sign that you're getting your upgrades and downloads. So just kind of lean into all of these symptoms and allow them to communicate with you what they're doing. Let's see. I've also experienced a tingling sensation on the top of my head. You know that old game in elementary school where they do the crack the egg thing?
Oh, yeah.
And they pretend you have an egg on your head and they do something and then they crack it and then they trickle their fingers down. It makes it feel like a real egg's being cracked. Kind of that kind of sensation. That's a crown chakra opening, ascension symptom. Let's see, let's work down. Ringing in the ears, that's a really big one. Different kinds of pitches and tones depending on the Earth's frequency. And that's essentially trying to get you attuned to the Earth's frequency. We have some motorcycles going by. It's motorcycle weekend in Eureka Springs, so bear with us. Hopefully it won't be too loud on the video.
It goes on all summer long.
Yeah. So ringing in the ears, different pitches, high pitch, low pitch, sometimes right ear, sometimes left ear. We've heard it said that the right ear is receiving information from from galactic or from, spirit just in general. And that left ear is more of downgrades and, not downgrades, upgrades, upgrades and downloads. So ringing in the ears is a really common one that I think a lot of people experience. Throat or thyroid issues. As your throat chakra begins to ascend and calibrate and clear out debris, you'll experience some thyroid issues, some scratchy throat, lots of mucus, maybe hoarseness when you're trying to speak, things like that, as well as really achy neck, especially toward the back as it's upgrading and calibrating. Heart chakra. Touchy subject for me. Palpitations, heart racing, skipping beats, shortness of breath. What else? Feeling like you're going to have a heart attack. Sternum pain, especially right down the center. Sternum pain as that is expanding and actually making room for more Christ consciousness, making room in your heart center. You also have your high heart, so that can feel like butterfly fluttering, particularly on the right side, kind of a flutter. But lots of heart activity, a lot of heart expansion, so you'll feel a lot of bone pain in the rib cage, a lot of pressure point, sharp needle pain, kind of feels like a needle poking you. What else? Breast pain.
Well, one thing about the heart chakra I do want to mention, I want to really continue to reiterate this point. Say you're having chest pain, you're having pressure, okay? If you go to a doctor and the doctor says, didn't have a heart attack, everything is okay with you. You say to yourself, oh, it must have been a heart chakra issue. Very true. However, if you go to the doctor and they say you had a heart attack or you have something wrong with you, it's still a heart chakra issue.
Still a heart chakra issue.
Just understand that's what we're saying. There's an advancement to this. Both of them are heart chakra issues.
And keep in mind also that the ailments that we bring into this world, like overweight or obesity, heart disease, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, what other kinds of things? Addictions, but female problems such as uterine problems, ovaries, things like that, that your mom's mom and your mom's mom and your mom's mom had. Those are genetic things that are brought down. They are genetic things that are brought down, but they're coming down from the lineage based on the karma within that lineage that creates that. So a connection to that would be perhaps a root chakra issue within the family lineage causing you to eat lots of meat, lots of cheese, overeat, become overweight, things of that nature, therefore creating heart disease.
Right.
So you can see the connection of how these things just get chalked up to heart disease, but there really is an actual paper trail as to why that heart disease, you're not predisposed. Your heart is not predisposed to it. The behaviors that create the heart issue is what's predisposed.
And those behaviors are hardwired.
And it's up to you to clear that karma.
Yes, those behaviors are hardwired into the chakra system.
Into your DNA.
Into your DNA. And as you work your way down that rabbit hole and you begin to discover these things about you and where these things come from, that's when you begin to heal it. That's when you begin to change the behavior.
That's the good stuff.
That's
when the soul work.
All of a sudden, you are the first person in your family to never have a heart condition, to not have addiction, to not have whatever, because you have cleared that karma, you have gotten to the bottom of it, and you've changed.
That's so exciting. Like, that's so exciting to know that we have the ability to actually change our DNA, our genetic makeup, so that we can not only heal our lineage and heal our ancestors, but also heal the future generations. So whether you have children or not, the work that you do in your life is healing the future. It's healing what what's the saying? Heal yourself, heal the world.
Yes.
It's so true. It seems so cliche, and it's hard to understand and to really connect in your mind, but that's the reality. And so you're really actually not clearing heart disease from your family. You're clearing the habits that cause the heart disease from the family.
Mm-hmm. Because with Courtney and I, just took an example, we both have a karmic addiction. Addiction is a karma issue for us that we have worked out in this lifetime, but my mother and Courtney's mother,
every single person in our family lines, in both of our families, are addicts of something, whether it be food or pills or hard drugs or alcoholism is a huge one in our families. Pill addiction and alcoholism is one of the biggest addictions in both of our family lines. And so when we came together as twin flames, obviously we were addicted together. So we did a lot of drinking together and a lot of drugs together and a lot of addictive behaviors together. And together we broke that cycle. So we collapsed that timeline. We cleared our lineage. We cleared that karmic thread. And therefore we're now creating a new paradigm for the future. So that addiction, our kids will not be saying that there's an addiction line in my family or alcoholism runs in my family.
Right.
It won't even be part of their makeup.
Right. So we have given our children a very good chance of not having to deal with that.
Still there. Still could be there. But maybe not. But definitely their kids won't. And that's the whole, we're creating a new earth, right?
Right. But we've also given our children the tools that we were not equipped with. Because addiction begins, it doesn't, you don't start off normally drinking at 10 years old like you do when you're 30. You know what I mean?
Right.
It builds up. So when you have the tools at a younger age, you don't get yourself as deep as you do, because we didn't learn this stuff until we were in our 30s, but now we're passing this on to our kids, not only just information but energetically as well. The environment that they're raised in, the environment they come home to every day.
The energy of it is different, so therefore it's going to create a difference.
So I'm sorry, we were on the heart chakra.
Heart chakra. So then we'll go into digestion issues, stomach pain, sharp pains throughout the stomach, mid-back pain, really horrible stomach cramps, almost feeling as if you're having appendicitis or a gallbladder attack, but you're not, or maybe you are. Again, like we said, it could manifest as something more significant. We are seeing more and more appendix and gallbladders just coming out like crazy since 2012, because I really believe that's a body part that we're not going to need. So some of these things, as we ascend into the new earth, you have to figure there's a lot of body parts that we're just not going to need in the new earth, which is kind of cool. Yeah, right? We'll keep that. But then again, I'm just kidding. We'll keep it. But anyway, so you got to figure, through the course of the evolution of man, we gain body parts and we lose body parts based on our adaptability to our surroundings. So if Mother Earth is changing, if our surroundings are changing, therefore our skin's going to change. We're becoming more crystalline. So if you look in the sun and you can see in the palms of your hands and on your arms that you have a little bit of glitter in there, almost as if you wore like a lotion that had glitter, or you got makeup on your hands. It's not. You can wash your hands really quick. Go outside and check, and you'll notice that you're starting to get little crystals in your skin if you're in the ascension process, which if you're watching this, I'm sure you are. That is our body changing and adapting to our surroundings of Mother Earth. So it's pretty cool. So stomach issues. So you may need to get your appendix or your gallbladder taken out, and that's a good indication that we're shedding the need to have that organ, right? Our bodies are changing, literally transforming into something new that complements Mother Earth. So ovary problems, uterus problems, due to sexual addiction, sexual abuse, feeling as if you cannot express yourself creatively, right, to the world. Our sacral chakra is our connection to the world and how we relate and how we create as a way of expressing ourselves to the world around us. So if you're having some struggles with your menstrual cycle, excuse me, or lower back pain, things of that nature, hips, what else is down there? Anyways, any of those types
All
of things.
reproductive organs.
Yeah, all reproductive organs. Impotence, sexual lack of desire or overdrive, for that matter. You need to calibrate that. It's also our divine feminine energy space, male or female. That is where our divine feminine is located. And so as we embark on this rise in divine feminine that we have been since 2012, the rise of divine feminine and the balance of divine masculine, a lot of women are going to be experiencing that based on their karma, right? Based on how they have treated man or how they have treated themselves, right? How they have allowed men to take advantage of them, or how they have taken advantage of the divine masculine. So there's that polarity and that balance that needs to take place. Root chakra, we have the lower back, the legs, the calves, the feet, lots of muscle cramps throughout the body, lots of joint pain throughout the body. Feet pain as we deal with our feet chakras, lots of heel pain. I think that covers that. I mean, pretty much from head to toe, aches and pains throughout the body. Sometimes you'll just get that flu. We could talk about the Ascension flu a little bit. Ascension flu is when there's a huge amount of gamma rays that hit the planet, and we kind of do this huge, all of us collectively take it up a notch, right? So we have these big pivotal moments like the American eclipse that we just had in August, or these really amazing dates like 5/5's coming up, or 11/11. We get all these solar flares and gamma rays coming in, and it hits our planet and hits us as humans. And sometimes it can literally make you feel like you have the flu. So head to toe, you're getting this upgrade. You're feeling the headaches, the muscle pain, the bone pain, the stomach nausea. Nausea is a big thing. Vertigo, dizziness, all of those things. Those are all huge Ascension symptoms. And you just kind of feel like you have the flu. You're literally in bed, sometimes up to a couple of days, trying to recuperate from that. It's called the Ascension flu. So during these times, do you have anything that you want to add about
No, you're
Ascension?
covering the physical pretty well.
Okay, we'll go on to the emotional, and then we can talk to them about how to cope through these times.
Yeah. With the emotional part of it, it's exactly the same as the physical part. These, we're talking about things coming up, emotions coming up, and these are warning signs. All emotions that we deal with, I guess you kind of have to go back to our early childhood when different things begin to develop, when our ego starts to develop. All our ego is, we've talked about this a lot, our ego is our defense mechanism. The reason why we develop these things is out of fear. If somebody tells us that we're doing something the wrong way, we have a fear we're not going to fit in, so therefore we develop the opposite of that, and then now this becomes the new way we do something. And this goes on throughout our childhood, and we grow up, and then we have these sort of these conditions that we've rewired into ourselves to say when something triggers me, I feel this anger, I feel this depression, I feel, whatever emotion comes up, you trace that back to the fear. Where is the fear? What fear is coming up in you that's bringing this emotion out, okay? So I say all that to say that when we begin to ascend, we begin to learn how to use our emotions for what they're supposed to be used for, because our emotions are good. The things that the emotions that we get are supposed to be our guidance system. When something happens in our lives, again, nothing is ever good or bad, right or wrong. Everything is neutral. Okay, so when something happens in our existence, it is a neutral thing. We are the ones who decide if it's bad or good or whatever, and then we have taught ourselves to act accordingly. Okay, and then that gets us all screwed up. So when we begin to ascend emotionally, we begin to understand that we feel emotions, and those emotions sort of tell us which way to go. If something comes up in our existence that is unwanted and doesn't feel good to us, then we turn away from it and we do something else. And it's really that simple. But this gets very convoluted as we grow up because we're not really taught how to properly understand or express our emotions. So we sort of get caught in this whirlwind, in this cycle of emotion that comes up, and people do things even though they know they shouldn't do them. They continue with relationships, they continue with jobs, they continue with so many things, eating habits, that they know inherently deep down it doesn't feel right to them. But they continue doing it. And as you continue to do that, you build up all these sort of emotional blocks So when you begin to ascend, you have to start sort of chiseling away at these things and beginning to understand where they come from. So with me personally, it's funny because you would think that the more knowledge you have of this and the more awareness that you gain, the better your emotions are, the more controlled your emotions are. But it's not necessarily true, because for me and for both of us, really, for for years and years, we turned to drugs and alcohol to manage our emotions. And people turn to drugs, alcohol, sex, food, all sorts of things to try and handle these emotions, because they've gotten so out of control. So as we begin to ascend, we begin to understand these emotions more, but you begin to really feel them. So when they come up, when extreme anger comes up, extreme depression, self-pity, all of these things, you know what, it's funny because these things they're drugs in themselves.
Oh,
if
they
you
are,
could
absolutely.
bottle self-pity, I would be a millionaire. If I could bottle self-pity and sell it to people, because that is an amazing feeling, to sit there and just wallow in your own.
Until it's not.
Right.
It's good until it's not.
Right.
Then it feels yucky.
So
But,
you have to sort of understand where that comes from, and then, as we say, go down that rabbit hole and begin to really dig out where this fear is, and begin to really deal with that fear. And then as you ascend, you're going to still feel these emotions, but you're going to understand them better.
Because you're observing them now at this point, right?
Exactly.
You become the observer.
Instead of feeling
there you go.
everything, you start to, when it comes up, you experience it, and then you're able to observe it and understand what it's trying to tell you. It's the same thing with physical. A physical symptom comes up, before it gets into some crazy thing, you can observe it and understand where it comes from in the chakra system, in the body, from the childhood. Look at it,
life.
Heal it, and then continue on.
Yeah. Such good
So
information.
they're both exactly connected. There's no difference between the two.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do kind of go hand in hand. And we've just noticed that with twin flames, it seems that one will deal with the physical aspects while the other one deals with the emotional aspects.
Oh my God.
So that there's this kind of balance, right? I mean, I look at Denny sometimes and the mental torment that he's going through and the emotions that he goes through, and I think, oh, I don't even know how I could deal with that. And he's sat and watched me go through all this physical stuff and think, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, because
so together we're creating that. We're actually clearing out that duality, right? We're creating that unity consciousness by doing our part to heal.
Right.
Together.
Right. It's very
intense. And
intense.
help you heal.
It's very intense.
So how can we heal? What do we do when we're feeling all this stuff, right? So
I want to answer this. I'll tell you why. Because this is where shadow work comes in.
Yeah.
And I used to struggle with this.
I was talking about a salt bath.
Salt bath is good too.
I handle everything in water.
No, it's funny. No, because those physical things are very, very important.
Yeah.
Salt baths, meditation, all those
Yoga,
things to make your
qigong.
body feel good are so, so important.
Well, they're vital because, like we said before, when you're feeling these feelings within the body, they're warning signs that energy needs to be moved, that it's building up. It's building up to the density of a feeling, right? So it has now moved from an energy to a vibration to a density of an actual feeling, and then it will continue to build up until a mass or something to that nature is created within the body. So it's important when it comes in as an energy wave to allow it to come through you, to move through it and move through the energy through the body and keep it flowing, right? Just like your heart needs to pump and keep the blood flowing, just like you need to eat, digest, and expel, right? The same as we take in the energy, we incorporate and calibrate it within our system, and then we transmute out into Mother Earth what no longer serves us. It's the same process energetically. We tend to only look at, I need to eat and shower, hygiene, eating, exercise, things like that. Those are the important things because that's what we can see. But we forget about our energetic system and how important it is to maintain that daily as well. And so salt baths, yoga, meditation, qigong, exercise outside, earthing, walking in nature. Did I say meditation?
What those things do is number one, they help you change your state of being, which is incredibly important.
Yeah.
But as you continue to do it, you are developing this habit, this vibrational habit,
that's raising your consciousness,
right?
Yeah.
Because if you're angry, if you're pissed off, or if you're and your state of being is anger, you're not going to be able to sit down and do some shadow work right there. You have to stop and take the bath.
You have to process.
You have to stop and do some meditation. You have to change your state of being. Then once you change the state of being, then you have to start looking at these things that are coming up for you, and that's where shadow work begins. And for so many years, I would go through this emotional torment, and I would tell Courtney, I don't know what to do. I still say it today. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And she would say, you have to do shadow work. And I'd say, I don't know what the hell shadow work is. I get so mad. And then finally, just recently, it just clicked for me. I understood it because I understood what she was saying to me. But it wasn't until I actually got to experience it somehow, and it wasn't anything miraculous. It just one day just clicked with me.
That's radical action. It's actually doing it.
And I understood that is what shadow work is really getting down to the depths of who you are, where this stuff comes from, looking at it and beginning that healing process. And you think, well, what the hell is the healing process?
Because you have to be out of victim mentality in order to enter into shadow work.
Yes, and you have to be into that observing.
Yes. You have to be at that stage where you can observe it and go, oh my God, I am acting.
Yes, and literally feel it, but still be able to observe it and say, okay, this is what I'm going through right now, and understand it, and that really begins to ascend emotionally.
Don't judge it. Like if you are being kind of a jerk or whatever, don't judge it. That's the last thing you want to do. That's ego as well. You want to observe and go, oh, okay, we're getting a little mad about this right now. This is how we're going to act. Kind of have a sense of humor about it and get yourself out of that situation. Get yourself out of that vibration and put yourself into a new vibration. And you can do that through journaling. Again, all the things that we've already mentioned, I won't mention again, but you can, radical actions. So get up, shift, change your script.
Like it's
whatever story you're telling yourself that's causing you to be angry and pissed off and resentful or emotional or depressed or anxious or whatever, you need to change the script. So that means literally getting up, walking around, doing some breath work. Works really well, some shamanic breath work. Wim Hof does some really great breathing exercises on YouTube. Just doing those deep breathing where you're holding your breath at the top of the breath and exhaling and in, out for like a count of 20 and then holding your breath, that kind of stuff. Move that energy out of you. Get it out. And with the intention always of what your goal is. So I'm trying to not be angry, right? So then you sit, you get into lotus position, you do your meditation with the intention to not be angry. Or you get into, lotus position and do your breath work with the intention to get out of being angry, depressed, anxiety, fill in the blank, right? So it's radical action with the intent to fill in the blank.
Yeah, and that intent is breaking the pattern.
Yes.
Because it's as humans we work on this sort of like pattern system, I guess you can say.
Creatures of habit.
And everything is a pattern.
Yeah.
And you can trace back your anger, your depression, your anxiety, everything. You can see the pattern, so you have to interrupt those patterns and doing something like, because what would you normally do when you're pissed off? Normally you might stomp out of the house, you might slam a door, you might punch a wall, you might do something. If you do something different and break that pattern, you're going to begin to understand that pattern more and begin to create a whole new pattern, which creates a whole new vibration.
The best way to stop that pattern, if you're one of those viewers that are saying, well, how do I stop the pattern? That was our biggest obstacle, is I'm not going to do this anymore. Now what do I replace it with?
Yeah, I'll tell you
one
thing.
You instantly need something to replace it is. Just give yourself permission to pause. That's all you have to do. You're going to go slam the door, or you're going to go cry, or you're going to go into self-pity, or you're going to, whatever it is your habit is, you're going to go eat something, you're going to go snort some cocaine, you're going to go excessively work out, whatever your coping mechanism is that you're trying to evolve past, just pause. Just sit and pause. Don't react. Just give yourself permission to not react to anything and allow spirit to talk. Let's allow your higher self to download to you what your next action is. And then it may just be something as simple as not slamming the door. It may just be something as simple as calling a friend and crying to them and talking to them about your issues. Whatever it is for you, just switch your script and do something different than what you would normally do. But that very first pause is going to be your lifeline. So just giving yourself permission to not react how you normally would by just pausing. Give yourself a minute.
And sometimes you're going to do something a little bit crazy, because I know when I'm all worked up, if I'm angry or something, if I pause, I have a hard time allowing spirit to come in and talk to me at those moments. So I have to go. This winter, at one time I went out and I meditated, and it was like 8 degrees outside.
8 degrees in this now.
And I went and I meditated. I only meditated for like 10 minutes, but it's all I needed. I mean, I came back in and my state of being had changed completely, because I didn't know what else to do, but I knew I didn't want to do what I normally do in that situation. So I went out and I changed my state. A cold shower works really well too. Getting into a very cold shower, it changes your whole state of being, so you can allow yourself to stop and think and allow guidance to come in.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's it for today. I mean, Ascension is really complex, but it's actually pretty simple, really, when you break it down. When you're in it, it feels so so huge, and it is huge, but really you just got to take it step by step, little by little. Trust your higher self will come in, call on your angelic angels, and your spirit guides and those that you work with, your ancestors, and ask them to help you with this, because ultimately they want to help you. They want to help you evolve, because that's what their whole mission was too, right? So ask for the help, ask for assistance from guidance. Sometimes just stopping and asking for help is the answer too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, make sure you subscribe, share, like, all that good
All
stuff.
that good stuff.
And always ask yourself, how can it get any better than this?
Bye.
Bye.